What is a product you would never recommend? Pretty much any Hewlett-Packard printer. This goes back to 2006 when I did tech support for an HP printer. They haven't improved. An example. Now you need to pay to upgrade the software, and it decides when for you, and it bricks itself until you do. My aunt has a $500 printer holding her queue hostage for a $25 software update. Bullshit. Water bottle cleaning tablets? Denture cleaner is literally the same thing for 1/4 the price. Edit. Apparently people are confused about why tablets would be needed to clean a water bottle. Of course, soap and water works. When it comes to the tablets, I have bottles with lids that have small crevices, stainless steel travel mugs, a camelback for hiking, etc. that holds smells, flavors. Have you ever tried scrubbing the inside of a plastic water cube for camping? It's a pain in the ass. A denture tablet will effortlessly remove buildup, dirt, and flavors in things where scrubbing isn't an easy option. Also, it removes coffee and tea flavors from travel mugs. I also use it to clean toilets, clean my French press parts, the screens especially, freshen my garbage disposal and drains, etc. The stuff is great. Anything peddled by fitness influencers. Bottom of the barrel snake oil salesman. Any new vehicle that offers subscription services. Anything sold through a MLM. Any product advertised in the middle of a YouTube video. Silicone sex dolls. Imagine having sex, but your partner is cold and stiff. You have to pose them for each position, they can fall over and get their fingers in knots. They can be okay to sleep next to as an expensive body pillow, but I was never able to use mine for its intended purpose. It was an 80-pound doll that spent most of its time in my closet. The vagina was removable and worked as a fleshlight, but everything else was bad. Cleaning it in full was a nightmare. It was also hard to get rid of, because you can't just put it on the curb on trash day. Eventually, I bought a medical body bag and used that to transport it to a dumpster on the other side of town. I apologize to whoever found it. What industry secret do you know that most people don't? The New York Times bestseller list has a lot of people on it who buy massive numbers of their own books. Apparently, there is a symbol that indicates that while it did make bestseller status, there was a bulk buy. A footnote, if you will, or similar to an asterisk. Lance Armstrong's charity used to buy his book in bulk to give out at events. So people donated to his charity, the charity used the donations to buy his book, Lance got royalties for the book sale. Trained artist here. Most oil paints are made with very toxic substances, as are most paint thinners and mediums. Every single one of my teachers was either very sick, cancer, Meniere's disease, or a bit crazy, eating chalk, licking pallets. All incredible artists I was privileged to learn from. One lesson I learned very well. I wear gloves and sometimes a mask when I paint. Edit. I mentioned Meniere's because one of my favorite teachers had it. I worked closely with him, and his suffering holds a large place in my memories of school. While I think the exposure to toxins didn't do him any favors, I should not have implied a correlation. I apologize. To those asking, no paint was licked off pallets. They had just been cleaned with denatured alcohol, and he always led with, "Now you could eat off them," before waggling his tongue on the glass. Love the shock factor, that guy did. If you find an extra nugget in your order, it wasn't a mistake. You got a cool employee. I'm a casino manager. It is definitely possible, more likely than you think, to win money in the short term. For example, if you walk in, bet on red-black on roulette, it's reasonably close to 50-50, not quite because of zero. You might do this once, double your money and leave. Congratulations. You will always lose in the long term. Always. Anyone that thinks they have some kind of system is a sucker. A game would not make it into the casino floor if the maths have not been rigorously checked and long-term simulations run to confirm. Exception to this is poker. The casino will always have a rake or time charge to make their money. But there is no reason you cannot consistently win money if you are skilled enough. The news about Boeing is not a surprise to me at all. The amount of resources that they are able to delegate in an effort to deter whistleblowers is unfathomable to the average American EU citizen. What's the single worst decision that's ever been made in the course of human history? The Xhosa people, listening to their prophet, a teenage girl, who told them to kill all of their cattle and that the spirits would provide for them. 75% of their population starved to death. They blamed the few who didn't kill their cattle for the spirits not providing for them. Well, that certainly is a good example. Mao Zedong ordered Chinese peasants to kill sparrows because he believed they ate crop, thus hurting grain production of China. Without sparrows, nothing kept the smaller bugs and insects in check, and they ate all the crops. Famine ensued. The decision to use leaded gasoline. In the 13th century, the head of the Khwarezm Empire learned from an envoy that a peaceful trade delegation from a neighboring empire had been killed and robbed by a local governor. The envoy asked that justice be done. The leader of Khwarezm decided that this foreign ambassador didn't need to be listened to, and so killed him and sent his head in a basket back to the leader of the neighboring empire. That leader was Genghis Khan. Because of that decision to breach this most basic of diplomatic protocols, the Khan turned his attention away from China and cast his eyes westward. His armies and hell followed. Without this one decision, it is arguable that the Mongols never moved west, and the modern world as we know it is unrecognizable. The universe being created. This has made a lot of people very angry and been widely regarded as a bad decision. Leaving that cave all those years ago, that was a nice place. Been downhill ever since. What fan base do you think has the worst reputation and why? Rick and Morty's is going to forever be that fan base that freaked out about sauce packets at McDonald's and stabbed a guy over them. It's not just that either, though. The over-the-top R&M fans sit right at the top of that Dunning-Kruger curve, where they think they're geniuses, because they got some obscure reference joke that was made. Like, they're Ricks and everyone else is a Jerry. I do like the show, but the fan base is exhausting. As a 12-year veteran of the K-pop fandom, I'll confirm that getting too deep into any K-pop fandom is just an unrelenting maelstrom of bitchiness, gossip, peer pressure, hypocrisy, and outright bullshit. Currently, Nicki Minaj, the barbs threatening to deface Megan Thee Stallion's mother's grave, is beyond the pale. Find something with a fan base, and they will do everything they can to show why they are terrible. Andrew Tate fanboys. Need I elaborate further? Anime fans have to have the worst reputation for a fan base. It's an overgeneralization, but yeah. What is something that isn't allowed in other countries, but allowed in yours? Women can smoke weed with no top on in Canada, while eating a Kinder Egg. Driving as fast as you and your car can on the Autobahn. Pharmaceutical companies marketing directly to consumers. Cannabis, medical assistance in dying, gay marriage, fighting without criminal charges provided it is on ice, and you drop your gloves and pat the guy on the head after. Walking into a Waffle House with an AR-15 over your shoulder. What is a horrible part of mental illness nobody talks about? Being aware that you are losing your mind, but can't fight it. The memory loss thanks to depression and fighting your body. A lot of severely mentally ill people are unable to stay employed because of their condition, and it leads to poverty and even homelessness. That despite the populace generally being able to talk about mental illness more openly than ever before, if you have anything beyond depression and anxiety, bipolar, schizophrenia, OCD, borderline, etc., people still do not understand and will often have unfair preconceived notions about you. It negatively affects your good spells too. Like you could try to start a new career and get qualified and get your shit together because you feel good, but you know that in a few months' time, you might not be able to keep it up. It's hard knowing that you're capable of more and capable of earning more, therefore having a better life, but not being able to keep it up and having to live your good times the same as your shit times because the world just doesn't let you be good half the time. The lack of control you feel, people often think the moods we experience are in our control. You're never actually cured. It's just there, lurking in the shadows, and will pounce given the opportunity, without a doubt. What's a good movie where the good guy's lost? Gotta say No Country for Old Men. Still one of the most intense movies I've ever seen. Luke gets his hand cut off, finds out Vader's his father, Han gets frozen and taken away by Boba Fett. It ends on such a down note. That's what life is, a series of bad endings. All Jedi had was a bunch of Muppets. Avengers Infinity War. What is the worst movie you have ever seen? Sharknado's 2.5. The sixth one at least had dinosaurs and time travel. I've always thought the fifth Sharknado should have been titled Sharknado 5 Sink or Swim. Cats. I noped out after about 15 minutes. The movie that caused COVID. Gay Niggers from Outer Space. Yes, that's a real movie. Holmes and Watson. It was like the local high school theater kids wrote, directed, and starred in their own film that got international distribution. Well, that's another episode of Ask Reddit in the books. I really appreciate all of you who made it this far into the video. Of course, if you enjoyed this video, it would really help the channel out a lot if you gave the video a thumbs up, subscribe, or leave a comment down below. I hope that you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time.